Okay. Can you just give me your name and your credentials?
Sure. Sure. Looking at you?
Yeah.
My name is Don Goble, D-O-N-G-O-B-L-E. I am the multimedia instructor at Ladue High School in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay, so how often do you get to come to rural Missouri and do your thing? Because it seems like it's probably not that often.
So I've traveled the world doing presentations, and I've never been to rural Missouri. This is my first trip coming out this way.
So how does GoShareMO and what you do coincide? It just seems like a natural order to have you as be a big part of GoShareMO. How did you fall into that?
So I'll tell you what is amazing about GoShareMO is that they are all educators in schools who are using Apple devices, no matter what the device is. And that's what I use, that's what my students use, that's what I believe in, that's what I know is the best tool in my humble opinion. And so it's rare actually to get to speak to only Apple device users and educators, so that I feel and felt like I could really relate to every story I was going to tell, because it was created on an Apple device. It was going to make sense to them, I hoped, and make it tangible for them to be able to replicate it themselves, so that it was a really cool audience to be able to address.
So you're hands-on in the classroom, you're actually using this technology, you're seeing its result with students. What would your advice be to school districts elsewhere in the state that aren't necessarily part of GoShareMO yet, as far as taking the plunge into bringing more technology into the classroom?
Right. So I mentioned in my keynote that visual and media literacy is as important as any of our literacies: reading, writing, math, science. And so we have to embrace that. And the way that I found in the last 13 years students have really become media literate is to create their own media. And it doesn't matter the device, and it doesn't matter the practice or the project. It's the fact of creation. And so to jump in and just create content, find one lesson that you've done the same way your entire career and turn it into a video, or turn it into a social media project, or I've had teachers find their most boring lesson or unit that they have to cover, and they're like, let's find a way to let's jazz it up by doing some videos for it. And they found it to be, obviously, it's much more fun, and they get through the content still. So, allowing kids to use their phones. If you have the devices, use them. I did an exercise in there where I had the adults turn the camera on themselves, and 99% of them felt anxious or nervous about doing that. And that's an adult issue. It's not a kid issue. The kids love to be on it, so we have to let our guard down and understand that the kids want this, and they will do it. They will perform. We don't have to be the expert in learning how to do it. There's tons of tutorials out there to help us along the way. But as the educator, to also jump in and do it with the kids if we haven't done it before. It's super fun to kind of produce and create content with them that first time, which could be a little messy. And that's the mess is part of the fun of learning.
I agree with that. So as an educator, seeing, kind of on the back end of it, what is the biggest difference you noticed between pre-multimedia and post-multimedia as far as how they're absorbing the material?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I will say, when kids come to me in high school, we have a whole generation of kids who now have grown up with either hand-me-down devices or brand new devices at very early ages. They don't know any different. If at 2 years old they were using an iPod, or at 10 they're getting a brand new iPhone. And so they are savvy enough to manipulate the device and play with it. But what we need to understand is that they might not necessarily know how to navigate it, how to decipher what's best, how to, they'll come and say, oh yeah, I know how to do all of this. Well, you might have a YouTube channel, and that's great. But let's find some more direct, educational, methods, that this will actually work for us in our learning. And so, kids are very adept at understanding the tool, navigating, manipulating it, but they don't know like how to decipher the best way to use things. And I think that's an opportunity for us as educators, then to take that device and just kind of say, the content is in the device, and that's fine. We'll consume that. We can still consume with the textbook, but I'm going to have you create with this. We're going to find ways to create, whether we're drawing, whether we're video, whether we're creating websites or infographics. We're going to create. And we're going to find ways to create with this, and then we're going to share it. Like, we're going to publish it. We're going to share it. You give a great gift to a child when you allow them to publish something, and they feel such great ownership. So I think that's really kind of where we need to be with all of these devices, is that the device is the device. It's like, what's the content is king. What can we create with it?
So are you seeing higher levels of engagement as far as with devices, with multimedia, than just before, kind of like brick and mortar textbook style?
100%. So if I'm not using it in my classroom, they're going to be texting, they're going to be Snapchatting, they will do those things. And of course, then that's a classroom management thing. But when you allow them to scratch that itch and allow them to use it, what I found is that the behavior of misusing or lack of attention to what you're teaching dissipates, and they now know that they can use that device as a part of our workflow. Like, it's a part of the class. It's an expectation. We don't use it all the time, and they become very aware of when it's appropriate to use it or not, but they know we're going to use it. And I wish more teachers would buy into that, because a lot of the issues that I hear about are the misbehaviors with it. And I mean, think about it. When we were teenagers, if we were told we couldn't do something, what did we do?
We did it.
We did it. And so let's go back into that mindset a little bit as an educator and make it real, and allow them to use it in fun, creative, educational ways.
That's awesome advice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.